and it worked. I wanted to buy my thing.
Jay is, I would say, the Yoda of sales calls, man.
Just talking to Jay, he was so good at just taking what it is, seeing the opportunity and the value and the real reason we are making it.
Talk to Jay, because he got it. He can definitely help you out.
Talk to Jay. You're going to get a lot. You're going to gain a lot.
I would absolutely recommend him for any position that you have.
Jay's definitely the guy.
Give him the chance, give him the opportunity. You won't regret it.
He's good at what he does, so I highly recommend him, and I would book him before he is fully booked out.
Welcome back to another episode of the Sales Ninja Show. If you've ever faced challenges in business or life and wondered how to push through and succeed, today's guest is here to inspire you in a way that you will not forget. He is an award-winning preacher, teacher, writer, marketing expert who has built a thriving business while battling epilepsy. On top of that, he has run 28 marathons. That's 28 more than me, including the Boston Marathon, proving that perseverance isn't just something he talks about, it's how he lives. As a CEO of Capital Marketing and Consulting, he helps businesses grow through strategic messaging and branding. But beyond marketing, his true passion is resilience, discipline, and embracing life's challenges head on. If you're ready to learn on how to overcome obstacles, how to grow your business, and develop the mindset of a champion, a true champion, this episode is for you. Everyone, let's give a warm welcome to Gordon. Hey, Gordon, how you doing today?
Jay, it's great to be with you, man. Thank you for that gracious introduction. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for your time, and thank you for generous with your day today. So good to meet you in person. I know we had an opportunity at an event in Washington where I got to speak and got to finally meet you in person, which was a delight. So that was awesome. That was a treat. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Jay. And you know what? You're right. We've been on calls together. I've hired you. We've been doing it for 3 or so years, and then we're at an event in Washington, and I turn around, there you are. So yeah, it was just great to see you in person. So
likewise.
Today I'm doing fantastic. Really, I'm doing well. Today is a good day. It is.
Awesome. So we were in the backstage, and we were just talking about a run that you just did. It's not just a normal run, and it's just not just a normal marathon. I mean, you've run 20 of these things, including the Boston Marathon, which for most people, I'd actually be curious in terms of statistics. You're probably like top 1 percentile, if not more, in terms, because I know, I feel like I'm allergic to running. That's I can run after a ball for 3 hours, like a soccer ball or tennis ball, volleyball, that sort of thing. But running, to me, it just didn't. I did try it, and anyways, it is neither here nor there. You ran 50 miles. Was it when was that, and what was it?
So yeah, I mean, I tell people running's miserable if you don't enjoy it. Like, don't do it.
That's what I feel. Thank you.
But a weekend before last, I did a race called the Toughness 12, which is a 12-hour race out at a campground called Big Land, and it's do whatever you want to do for 12 hours. There's no one supporting you. You got to bring your own food, your own drink. There's not a ribbon at the end. There's no medal.
Come on. There's no medal?
What can you do? It's like, what can you do for 12 hours? And I had a goal of running 50 miles. I had run a 50K before, which is 31.
Holy.
But I had wanted to run 50 miles. And a cool thing I didn't get to mention earlier, but Assist Disability Services, which is a nonprofit down here to help parents navigate the special education system, started raising money, $1 for every mile I ran. And all of a sudden, when I'm doing the run, I'm getting all these text messages and voice messages, and this real movement got behind it. And with 11 minutes to spare, I did 50 miles, and it was a beautiful experience. Hard, but like there's just something about you just meeting the face of God when you're out there running for 12 hours.
So tell us about that. Meeting the face of God. I know we're both men of faith. What do you mean, like face of God, as in like death, or as in like revelation, or both?
No. Oh, there's a joke. Like if you want to get to know yourself, run a marathon. You want to meet God, run an ultra. You just get to the point where there's not much, there's nothing left. Like you're like mentally, I'm only moving because I'm taking another step. Physically, your body begins to hurt in almost every way. And you find a solitude that is very unique. Because again, there are only 8 people who ran this race.
Oh, wow.
And after 8 hours, I'm the only one left out there. And
you
find yourself praying, you find yourself thinking, you find very introspective, and it's something that lasts for days afterwards. Like it's not a singular experience. And so that's what I mean. It's just, you're just, how am I going to do this next thing? Because mentally and physically, I don't feel like I can do it. And continuing is really an act of faith for me. So it was a wonderful experience. I find myself daydreaming about it a good bit.
So did you say a marathon helps you know yourself and an ultra marathon helps you to meet God? Is that what you said?
Yeah, the joke is if you want to get to know yourself, run a marathon. If you want to get to know God, run an ultra marathon. And so, there's something about just bringing yourself to the end of yourself purposely. It enables you to learn how to persevere in difficult circumstances that you don't have any control over, like business or relationships or whatever.
That's amazing, because I watch your social media at like these obscene hours, like 3:58, 4:20, like before 5 even. I'm just curious, how much do you not sleep, or do you sleep super early? And
it's a great question. My neurologist would like for me to get more sleep. I go to sleep typically between 9 and 9:30, and my norm is 4:15. I just wake up naturally. But I've been going through a cycle in the last 30 days or so where the not just to wake up earlier has happened. And so, I recognize that 3:45 is too early for me. Today I slept in, Jay. I slept until 5. I was very excited about that. But 4:15 is really my sweet spot. But I just think lately, 3:45 has been happening more and more. But I go to sleep around 9 or 9:30.
So tell me that, because I know you have kids, and I can't remember how many. But do you still have kids in the house?
Just in the last 6 weeks, we are now empty nesters. So my 23-year-old has graduated college. Thank you. 21-year-old is off on her own, and I have a freshman in college, so she will come home. But my daughters are 23, 21, and 19. So definitely a different stage of life. No one's asking me to get up and change the diaper in the morning. So I do have some freedom. But that's what started the early morning running 15 years ago. When I did have little ones, the only way to do it without inconveniencing my family was to get out early. And that really is what started that pattern. But now I have a lot more freedom. I'm not driving anybody to school anymore.
I mean, because I have 3 kids too, and they're 17, turning 15, and turning 12. So I'm just behind you. And if I went to sleep at those hours, they'd be up later than me. Like, how does that work? How does that dynamic work?
When they're younger, is that what you're saying?
Oh, like even if they're teenagers, like, at least I find my teenagers are staying up much later. I mean, like my daughter, who's in grade 11 right now, who's 17, she's staying up, close to midnight doing homework every night.
Well, we definitely had a pattern for years there where we would stay up as long as they were up. But my family has been gracious to me. One of the things that maybe we can talk about is, I do fight epilepsy, and sleep is a demand by my neurologist. The first question he will typically ask is, how much sleep are you getting? Mm-hmm. So my brain meds win around 9 or 9:30. I'm not the most active guest for anybody. Yeah. So as they got a little bit older and I began to trust them with their own time, I would just have to go to bed. And because I'm going to wake up naturally anyway, and no one wanted to be up with me early. So, the first child, you try to, as long as they're awake, I'm awake. And then, I couldn't keep it up. And so, and my wife's a bit more of a night owl. 9 or 9:30 is when I just went to bed. But after a while, I just had to trust my kids. Guys, don't stay up late, that kind of thing. And it worked out well.
Amazing. So let's go back to persevering and resilience and discipline, because not everyone thinks about sleeping at 9:30 and waking up at 4, which is still like 7+ hours, which is plenty of sleep. It's not like you're sleeping 3-4 hours, which is great. And you talked about the epilepsy butt kicker. So tell us the first incident and how confusing that might have been, and maybe as a child or whenever you had your first episode.
No, I appreciate that. So I didn't have my first seizure that I'm aware of until I was 42. So
whoa.
So everybody know I'm 54, and in 2012, I lost both my parents within 4 months. A very close relationship with my parents. My father died of a heart condition. My mom died in a car accident. And as you can imagine, I mean, traumatic no matter what. I was very close to my parents. And soon after that, I began having pauses, which I just thought were daydreams. You can get lost in a thought anyway, like, hey, you still here? And like, oh, I was thinking about something. But they became elongated. I began to grunt a little bit. I don't have grand mal seizures. I was not falling over, but it became enough that I went to see a doctor. And the doctor's initial diagnosis was, well, you've been through a lot. You're under stress. Try to reduce stress. And at that time, I was a pastor, church planter, and I had my marketing company. And we're like, well, that's great, but I don't know how to reduce stress. Well, they worse and worse. And again, I did not know it was seizures. So in 2013, we stayed here in Virginia to plant another church, and I was preaching, and I had a very long pause, and I just stood still. Now, I think the congregation thought I was having a moment with the Spirit, Jay, like that moment. Like,
a God moment. Yeah.
And I had just grown so accustomed to them, I would just come out of them and keep going. And I was very fortunate. There was an ER doc out, and he tapped me on the shoulder. He was like, no, you had the layman's terms called a silent seizure. He goes, you need to go see your doctor. And so I, as several head injuries when I was a child, I have left frontal lobe damage. It's visible under examination. And the trauma of losing my parents plus other circuits really triggered that damage. The brain is so mysterious. So I went through several years just where my brain was wrecked, on meds, off meds, seizures all the time. Really thankful that my family and the church at that time and my children, we all survived that. But as I got my brain back with the right meds, then it was, I want to get back to running because I had run before, transformed my nutrition, my whole life changed. Like if I'm going to be healthy and fight off the side effects of these meds, because I continue to have seizures to this day, the meds just hold them at bay. I had to become a different person. So optimal sleep, optimal eating, optimal exercise, and just saw my doctor this week, and he said, continue the endurance running because it boosts my metabolism and my brain while the meds do the right thing and decrease all those things. So I've got to do natural ways to boost my metabolism because my meds are going to hold things at bay. So really terrifying when they went through it. And it was very hard on my family because at that time I had little girls. And when dad just freezes or begins to not make sense, it's just very terrifying for them. So I have a lot to be thankful for where I'm at now and my health, but it's a day-to-day battle of the offset of the meds. And I had seizures outwardly as recently as December. So that was a reoccurrence. And so, it's part of what I do every day.
And as you were mentioning earlier, it's Epilepsy Awareness Day, and March 26th, which is today, is why you're wearing the purple tie, right? So that's, I think that's God ordained. And, both of us were pastors and preachers and church planners, and we have a lot in common. And I love how God kind of aligned that because we had, I think, moved the date even for this podcast. Tell us about how, let's say, pastoring has helped you with marketing and business, and who are you reaching out to and how are you helping them?
That's fun. I'm actually doing a series right now about what pastoring taught me is marketing. Ultimately, as a pastor, the essence of it is communication, compassion, and care and gathering. I mean, it's really, and so I was a school teacher before I was a pastor. And so for my marketing company, I own Capitalize Marketing and Consulting, and we call ourselves an educational marketing company. We're going to educate people to help them do what they do better, whether they work with us or not. But then I've created an online university for them to walk through and those kind of things. But the similarity is I want to equip people. I want them to gather people according to what they do best. And so capitalize your best is our motto. It's actually based upon the parable of the talents or the parable of the managers. Everyone's given a certain measure of gifting with the expectation that you would grow it. And that's what I want to do. I help companies find that thing that's best about them and help them speak to their target client. And when you can match those two up, people do business with each other. So that essence of what you do as a pastor, hey, this is your gifting. We're going to disciple you to grow your gifting to best serve, is essentially what I do as a marketing company. And we do it through lots of speaking seminars, daily, weekly, monthly coaching, online university, and then support. So essentially, I've just kind of recreated that discipleship model, but I do it now for individuals and businesses, helping them grow and speak to a target audience. So I'm fortunate that I was just really able to recreate what I did, but in this model. My friends, when I retired from ministry, said, "Were you just church planting? That's all you're really doing?" And I was like, exactly. I was like, but I'm working with everybody, and I'm enabling them to find that one thing that if their target client knew about, then they can match up. And there's a lot of joy in that. I love the teaching educational part of it.
Amazing. I actually missed that point, even though I've known you for a little bit, that you were an award-winning teacher. Tell us more about that.
Thank you. My first job out of college is I taught high school English at an alternative school. So to get to me, the qualification was you had to be expelled. And so the entire school was full of kids who've been expelled.
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
And it was amazing. I mean,
really?
I taught grades.
That'd be a nightmare for most.
Oh, it was. I mean, everything from drug-related gang fights on down. But I was 23. I had all the time, all the energy. I thought I was Michelle Pfeiffer from Dangerous Minds. I was like doing that. Oh my gosh. And I taught day school, night school, summer school. I had all the time. But the good thing was it was very practical, like very tangible. You could see this kid who some things were their fault. Sometimes they weren't. Certain circumstances, see them graduate. And I had the opportunity for my school system, Nash Rocky Mount Schools, 1 year awarded me Teacher of the Year. So I had for the whole school system, very young, bright-eyed, 25-year-old. But it was a vibrant time, and I learned so much about communication at that time. I mean, everybody's different style, what would work. To this day, I still think of scenarios or lessons I've learned, and that was way back in the mid to late 90s that taught me to help me do what I do, and it played itself out when I was a pastor as well.
Can you share a business experience where there was a client, maybe they a negative experience or inspired you? And this is not a normal question that you ask on a podcast, but I think a lot of times people say we can learn best from our failures and from the things that we fall from, as long as we fail and fall forward. What is an experience that you learned in business or from a client, maybe that, didn't continue, that you learned, hey, I'm not going to make that same mistake again?
That's a providential question. I've actually got a scenario like that right now. When people go through my online university and we offer their support, we tell them, we guarantee an ROI. We guarantee you'll make more money than you spend if you do the program. And if you don't, I'll coach you for free until you do. But you got to do the work. Wow. And we had a client who I felt like we had really delivered and had gained the revenue for him. But as they went through the checklist of things that were promised deliverable, there was a couple of things we could have done better or more efficiently. And there were a couple of things they felt like they didn't get. And they had initially asked for a refund, and refunds are not in my policy here, but I wanted to keep this as a healthy relationship. So I offered, why don't we address these 2 or 3 issues, put something together, and let me work for you for free for 30 days and figure out what we can do. Well, what we decided on the end of that was we were going to help them create a seminar to promote their product, and we would do the planning and the working behind it. I'm not organizing the seminar, but like the undergirding, for a good event, it takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
Then, so we're actually in that process right now. And believe it or not, Jay, they're actually paying us to help them market the seminar as a result. So I think what's going to happen is the plane's going to land really well in that relationship. We probably will not continue on after that. I think they've got a new team who I actually like what they're doing, but it was, we have done this. We could have done this better. I gave them 30 days where let's just meet a couple of times to walk through what could have been delivered differently. And then we're actually helping them put together this seminar. I'll be there to cheer them on and help promote it. And actually, in a small way, got a small contract out of it. But it's really just about dealing with integrity, owning when you don't deliver as well as you could, But then also at times saying like, we did do that. And anytime you got two people together, there's always going to be that you did or you didn't. And then this time I feel like it's going to resolve really well. And so we're about 2 weeks away from the completion of that contract.
I love your heart and your posture in trying to help people and making sure even guarantees with the ROI and working with them for free until they do, because a lot of people are shying away from that because of FTC and SEC and all these things that, some of these bigger entrepreneurs that we both know have been penalized in the millions of dollars because of all these claims and all these promises and guarantees, even to the point where they scrub sales calls. And if the sales rep was promising, the moon, they would ding them over and over and over again. So
I don't promise any dollar amount. I never promise a dollar amount. I don't promise a delivery of contracts. And the key language that distinguishes me from getting in trouble is I tell people we are a done with you system, not a done for you system. So that puts it in a situation where the client owns the responsibility of the outcome. Okay. And I would say, you know what? There's some great companies out there that will do it all for you. But that's not the Capitalize Your Best program. We're a done with you system. So you bear responsibility for the outcome and we bear responsibility on the deliverable. That formula will give you an ROI.
So how does that work when you say that you guarantee an ROI? Because let's say, based on your different packages, it's an X amount of dollars. Let's say it's, I don't know, 10K or whatever, however long it is. And then I know you said it's a dollar amount, but the ROI says that if the package price was 10K, that they would make that back. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So so first of all, that helps me determine what clients I work with. Okay. If someone has a $79 product, that's absolutely wonderful. But unless they've got mass scale, I wouldn't make that promise with them. I'm like, it's going to take too long on that. I work with a lot in the real estate industry. About 2/3 of my clients in the real estate industry. And they'll say, well, how are we going to gauge that? And I will say, great, this is how we're going to gauge it. If you do this program, you're going to gain 2 listings that you wouldn't otherwise have gained before. And that will cover the cost of my expenses on that. And so there's times I'll be like with them one-on-one, like this is going to be hard to quantify. And so in those situations, I try to be open and honest with them as possible. But they're like, well, how much of an ROI? And I was like, I do not guarantee that. I cannot guarantee how much of an ROI on that. But I try to always tell my clients this. Ask them, what is the value of a new client? Like the grossest average you can come up with, because we all have scope on that. And so let's say you're selling a home and you're getting 2.5% listing and your commission on that $7,000. And I was like, okay, that's a gross example, because sometimes you'll get 3 and sometimes you'll get 10. I jokingly call that chainsaw math. Let's do some chainsaw math. I was like, if you work with me, I'm confident that you'll sell 2 more homes than you would have sold. And so that's the way I work from there. But you're right, Jay. It's a question I've asked myself, because the bad reputation, the bad eggs out there have almost made the promise unattractive. So I actually am talking about it less and less. And I'm sure by the time the end of the year, I won't talk about it at all. And just leave it towards the private closing process. They're like, I can give you examples of people who've made the ROI. Because unfortunately, the gross promises out there have damaged people who actually work with integrity. Yeah,
I think that's a good point. And I appreciate your heart and your insights in this matter. And I think one thing that is true is while we may not be able to promise or guarantee ROI or dollar amounts, we can share case studies and results and client screenshots of, let's say you work with a client in 34 days, they were able to get not just 2, but 3 new listings. And then what was that? I don't know, call it commissions. What was that worth? For the amount that they invested, they made, 2, 3, 4x, ROI in the first, 60 days or whatever it was. That's awesome.
I've definitely followed your example, Jay, and I hope I didn't interrupt you. Like, as you were leading up here, you were showing testimony after testimony. I've got some private YouTube testimonies that, that if someone says, well, who have you worked with? And I was like, well, let me just share this link with you real quick. And I'll send a link to their phone immediately. And I'll be like, that's who this is. This is what we look, And so I try to have them in different industries. Yeah. And then I've also got clients who will say, listen, I can give you their phone number right now. Like, they've said they will talk to you if this would help. And I would think in the economy and the situation we're right now, we have got to be equipped with that in the closing process because that's the thing that makes a difference. Another human being who has said, I did this and I got those results. And potential clients are very open to ask them questions they may not ask me. Like, what's it like working with Gordon?
Yeah.
Like, does he really send you a message every morning at 7 a.m., which I do? And they're like, yes, he will send you a 60-second video every morning at 7 a.m. to tell you what to do. So,
wow.
So if they doubt my sales pitch, for lack of a better term, giving them a human being to talk to helps them alleviate those fears and get their questions answered.
Amazing. Yeah, we actually talked backstage about, you have a lot of content that converts and marketing leads. And the bigger challenge might be with when you have almost a dozen proposals, the sales process. And that's where, the Sales Ninja Show podcast is all about. What are some of the things that you're facing in terms of obstacles or objections that we could even run through?
I appreciate that. I mean, first of all, Jay, I owe you a great debt of gratitude for what you've taught me. You and I have worked one-on-one.
Yes.
We've worked in a group setting. And so there's one thing I've implemented that I give you credit for almost every week. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But right now, first of all, persistence is necessary. If we say, well, I followed up with them last week, I don't want to bug them. They've not given you any money. You're not losing any money. They haven't given you any. And persistence is a value. I mean, I had a client the other day who said, or potential, they're like, I want to sign up. Send me the link. This is $9,600. I need to talk to my accountant. I can't spend that money. Send me the link. I'll sign up tonight. Did not respond for 5 days, like in the meeting. So text, took a break, text, crafted an email, got a response after the email and said, hey, it's just taking me longer. I think we're going to work together, but I can't make this decision right now. Your tenacity is not bothering me. I appreciate the follow-up. Well, now, not everyone's going to tell you that, but I do know if no one is responding to you, then just keep following up. And so I do offer a mixture of text and email. I always let them know what we've agreed upon, or sometimes I will just say, hey, I think today's a great day for us to get started. Does that work for you? I sent that text out earlier today. So learning the tenacity, you got to get over your opportunity to have your feelings hurt. I had one person say, we're not friends. Stop texting me. Great. I now know not to bother them anymore. My feelings ultimately can't be hurt on that. But those are the strategies. If we have an agreed upon, if someone says, I just don't know, I'm not ready to make the decision right now, you just got to end it with, would you mind if I followed up next week? Is it okay if I follow up next week? Most of the time people are going to say yes. Or they'll say, I had a client the other day say, no, I think at the end of March is going to be better. I was like, well, great, no problem. Well, then I will follow with you at the end of March. And then you immediately put it into the calendar. You do not let any time go. You pick a day and you're like, follow up with Howard. And then that's what you do. So the organization on the sales close right now, the closing cycle, the decision-making cycle right now in our economy, I feel, is longer. And so people do want to spend the money, but they're terrified, or it's just taking longer for them to make the decision. Well, then that's up to me to follow up with them.
Beautiful. That was well said. And I think because of your discipline and your resilience and, health and the way that you do your ultra marathons, Boston marathons, and getting up early in the morning, that focus and discipline, you're already 90% ahead of the game than the world. I mean, or even higher, to be honest. So I think that is a great strength that I would recommend putting as part of your teaching, your coaching, your content is the art of resilience, the lost art of resilience.
Thanks.
Right? There's something powerful right there, because I think a lot of people lack the energy, lack the fitness, lack the proper foods, lack focus, don't know what deep work is, are completely distracted. That in itself is a business in itself. And when you can help, your realtors or the brokers or the mortgage specialists, get into a psychology and a mindset that's the marathon mindset. There you go. Boom. There's another module.
It's funny, Jay. I definitely, I'm fortunate that I get to speak a good bit. And if I don't have a gig, I create one. And I always buy my racing photos. If I'm going to run a marathon, there's a company that takes 50 photos and we'll sell them to you. And I have this one image I use over and over again. When you get water on a marathon, someone will hold the cup flat in their hand, and they hold it like, though you can't see because it's the blur, but
yeah,
you
I can
hold
see it. I
it
can see
flat.
it.
And the goal is that you can grab it without there being any. And I have this great photo of this young man. He's holding the cup flat. I'm running and I'm reaching for it. It's one of my favorite photos. And I tell folks, that is target marketing right there. That like the person knows how to deliver it. They have found the person who needs it and the connection is made. Let me teach you how to create content just like this young man's holding a cup. But I do talk about resilience. I've got some photos of very not attractive me on the race course, hurting or even walking. And I talk about that we put ourselves out of these situations so that when you're spending 8 hours at a night sending out emails and creating content or whatever you may be doing, that's when you have now got the ability to do it because you've trained yourself somewhere else. So there's a rare gift in putting yourself in difficult situations so that when the uncontrolled circumstances, happen, you're ready to thrive through that. Forgive me, I'm getting too caught up.
No worries. And those are really great insights. I was actually talking to two of my scaling coaches, and I have a low ticket offer, which I was just really like, how do I say, hesitant to put out there because I felt like the value of what I was offering and giving and teaching was far too great for the amount that I was giving. And then I started running that, and it wasn't even taking off, to be honest. I wasn't doing a lot of marketing. And I'm going to ask for your advice in just a second. That's where I'm getting to. Content inverts. And so I didn't do a lot of marketing, so I'm expecting results. But at the same time, when I do the marketing, I'm expecting more people to sign up and stuff like that. And then my scaling coaches, two of them individually, separately said, what you're charging is not worth what you're teaching. So like a $97 school per month membership where I teach people how to do high ticket sales closing. He said you should charge $6,000 for that minimum. If you want to even do case study based pricing, you can offer it for half and increase it every cohort by 1,000. But based on your other coaching program, which you charge like $15K for 90 days, I mean, why are you playing this game of like trying to get a lot of people into a $97? There's a lot of people that are playing this game of like the low ticket membership and stuff like that. So I thought, shiny object syndrome, let me try it. And what kind of advice would you give to me as a capitalized marketing expert?
Well, I'm honored you'd ask me, Jay. First of all,
yeah.
I've got a membership that I created, and I don't really market it the same way because,
okay.
I've got Capitalized Academy, and it didn't really convert. My lowest ticket offer is a 14-day, $600. I give you some free resources, and we're going to meet for an hour on the front end, back end. But then I offer savings on my bigger program. But the bigger thing is, you're right, Jay. I mean, there's a temptation to I need to gather in more people into the crowd or the funnel bigger. But I know that low ticket, we know the old cliche is correct. When you pay attention. And I'm apt to skip things I paid $97 on, and then I'm upset I even had this subscription, so I just cancel it. So what I have found with the lower ticket like that is that just to get people in there who are willing to spend 6 or 12, it's a smaller conversion. Like the percentage is so small. And so, I only offer that 14-day after the end of a seminar because I feel like there's some people in a seminar who can't spend $6,000, but they
right.
could walk away with that. So I had one client, his name is Kenny, he came in, that made sense to him. He was like, I don't know if I trust you, but I trust you for $600. And then at the end of that, able to convert into a contract because he needed to see more from me before he spent $6,000 or $12,000. So right. I'm not going to, there's some folks who make $1,000s on 97. But for your services, what you can return for your gifting is so high that, you can grab one person for 6,000 and, I shouldn't do math in public, but you got to get 60 people to equal that who may or may not stick with you. So I don't, unless you just got a massive following that will buy anything from you, I don't find a lot of value in the $97 offers.
Great point. And I wanted to return back to, I know we're running out of time, But I wanted to return back to the idea of the follow-up, because your tenacity, like you said, persistence, taking several days when they were already showing intent. And then you said, like, you kept on messaging them, and sometimes people give up after 2 or 3 tries because they're like, now I'm kind of being bothersome. But you said that their response was, your tenacity is not bothering me. I appreciate the follow-up. And then you have people who are saying, we're not friends, stop texting me. So a couple of things that I want to kind of drop in here and we can kind of jam together before we close is, we're not friends, stop texting me. I'm like, yeah, we're definitely not friends. That's what coaches do. They tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. So that's why I'm holding you accountable.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And in terms of like even the follow-up, it's like I was hearing from another entrepreneur that says people make a buyer decision when they're buyer aware through logic and emotion. So as much as we can educate people, like you said, you're an education marketing platform, as much as we can educate people on the front end and give them the logic, give them the money math, give them the social proof, give them the reasons why, and the process on how you help them and walk them through business growth in a real estate market or whatever niche that you're helping them. And then when they, are indoctrinated or they've seen a bunch of your content and had different interactions with your marketing material, then when they get you in a live or in a webinar or a workshop or a challenge or even on a call, now it's an emotional decision. I like this guy. I like the way he shows up. I like his energy. I like the way he dresses. I like his podcast. I like the way he talks. I like actually meeting him in person or even virtually better than I like seeing him on content. So these are all congruent and frictionless to me that I think can help with the follow-up process and the resilience of getting people from buyer unaware, people who are intent to investing, to actually getting them to close. What are some of your best practices in closing sales?
I appreciate that, Jay. There's a couple of things. In the follow-up, before we get to the close, if I'm in a good conversation, what I say to you, Jay, is, Jay, what does follow-up look like so I don't worry you too much? Because typically I'm going to text you tomorrow and follow up with you. What's the best way for us to follow up without me bothering you? So setting expectations.
Yeah.
If I don't set those expectations, I would, if I have a meeting, I text within the next 15 minutes. Really great meeting with you. I look forward to talking to you. I'll reach out to you the next day or two. So I do my best to set expectations if we're in a formal back and forth sales process, because that way they know what to expect from me. I even told one person, I really like to text, so I'm going to follow up with you. Just let me know if it's too much. And so just let me, that's what you're going to get. Now, in the case of someone who's like, hey, send me the link, I'm going to sign up. And I know that some of the greatest closers in the world will be like, you don't get off that call until you hear the ding. Sometimes that doesn't happen, right? When you're dealing with high tickets, sometimes people are like, I'm going to, but I've got to speak to my accountant. That's very common. So if we get to that point, what I'll do is I'll say, listen, I'm going to send you the text link. I trust you. I'm not worried about that. I trust you completely. Let's go ahead and set your onboarding call for Wednesday. And that onboarding call is a nice, healthy pressure. Now, and then I'm going to follow up like, hey, tomorrow is the follow-up. Let me know if you have any problem with that payment link. And so if you leave the situation where they're committed to start, but the transaction doesn't happen in front of you, that happens, especially with high ticket, set the next meeting and an onboard. And I'm like, hey, now this onboarding is going to take about 20 minutes, but I'm going to give you a bunch of resources to get us started. So it's really important. I mean, you're busy and I'm busy. It's really important we get that on the calendar today. So let me do that right now. And then you just let me know when that payment goes through. And so I try to put those pressures it's a pressure on the calendar. And I had one client, like I was like, hey, haven't heard from you. I just want to make sure we're still good for tomorrow. And then they finally followed up, same kind of thing. Here's the process. And then sometimes payment goes through and you just meet and it works out really well. But in that commitment phase, I try to get things on the calendar. I don't deliver resources though. I don't onboard anybody without payment because at that point in time, I'm giving you the goods. I'm giving you the online library. I'm not. So I do.
So you don't get the resource until they pay. Is that what you said, or you get it to them upfront?
I don't give access to my Capitalize Your Best program. I mean, I have a wonderful online login password. Looks beautiful. I mean, you don't get that until the payment.
Okay, awesome. another best practice, and then I want to close and land the plane was you said that sometimes people are saying that they don't want to work together or they ghost you and stuff like that in the follow-up process. One best practice that I found that worked really well that you may be able to take to the bank is, hey, why don't we jump on a 5-minute Zoom call, and I just want to know, why or what some of the reasons are why we're not able to work together, right? Just so that I can improve our marketing or improve our sales process, so that for the next person that may be needing our help, just like yourself, could have a better experience. So it's just an honest market research. And when we can understand, what the real gaps or the opportunities that we left on the table were. So, another question would be like, hey, Gordon, I know that we didn't enroll you on the last call, and that's completely okay. Just for our marketing research purposes on what we can do better. Out of 1 to 10, where did you find our coaching solution in terms of us being able to solve the problem that you're facing? Because that's what it's all about, is how do we collapse time? How do we make you money? So on a scale of 1 to 10, whereas 1 is like, this didn't come anywhere close to what I expected, which is a waste of my time, I can take it, I'm a big boy, versus 10 is like, it was amazing, and I need to sign up now. Where would you say that we were? And then let's say you say, I don't know, it's about a 7. I'm like, okay, cool. So why not a 1? And how do we get you to a 10? How would we get you to 10? Because, well, it seemed like there was a big group coaching program, and I didn't see any like one-on-one, help. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I made a mistake of not sharing with you that in this program and this offer, we give you a one-on-one onboarding session for 90 minutes, sorry, where we walk you through your branding. We do an audit, we do a social media content strategy, where we're going to get you up and running for at least 30 days. And then in our weekly group coaching, we're going to give you the goods on how to do that for the next 12 months. What else did we miss? He goes, well, the one onboarding call is amazing. Is there any way that we can get more time with you? Well, if you're able to come in today, what I can do is I can add in the 3-month program, I can add 1 VIP monthly call with you, which I don't normally offer, but on a rainy day like today, because you need the extra hand holding and the help, that would be awesome. And if you did a paid in full, we'll give you a double return, which is a double runway. So instead of a 3-month, it would be a 6-month runway. And we don't normally do this, but we want to make sure that we're here to help you get the results. We're committed to your success. How does that sound?
Yeah, that was masterclass right there, man. Anybody who's listening to this, when you're done with the podcast, back up to this point and listen to it again. Really, that's a great way to handle objections, but it's also a great way also to find out how you're doing. Objective analysis of how you can improve. So those are fantastic.
I have one challenge for you, and this is like, I know we're talking on the podcast, but I think you can make a lot of money from this. So I know a guy who did this 30-day challenge, and he just got on with as many people as he could to say, I'm going to design a new program for you. So let's say your market is real estate agents or brokers, whatever. And let's say if you guys want, the ultimate real estate blueprint to help you with marketing and sales, I would like to get on a 30-minute market research call, no obligation to a sale. And I'm just curious as to what you're looking for. And then I think he had like 50 people within 30 days say yes to get on a call, no pitch, right?
Wow.
And then he said, I'm going to promise to return back to you with my results and my findings from everyone who I've interviewed. And so he did that for a month. He went back to the 50 people and he said, based on everyone's market research on what you're looking for an ultimate real estate blueprint to help you with, marketing and sales, this is what I've come up with. This is the pricing that you guys said would be viable. So now it's not like a friction sale. It's like you guys have all agreed and said, this would be worth it. This would be the value. This would be the program. This would be the deliverables. This would be the support. And it's not like me making it up. And then he did like $72,000 in sales in the first 30 days after he went back to them.
I'm going to go back and re-listen to this so that I can write this down. So I will take that challenge. And so I want to share one thing, everybody, that Jay challenged me on a year ago, January. So sometimes we just take too long to listen. Because I've shared speaking and seminars, very important to me. And Jay said, you got to go weekly. I was like, Jay, there's just no way I can go weekly. Like you told me that a year ago, January.
I remember that. Yeah.
Well, in January, I launched weekly. So I now have the Capitalized coaching call every Thursday at 11. It's designed for my clients, but of course I invite people in. At the moment, it's been a lead. It hasn't converted, but I'm not really worried about it. It's exclusive content for my clients, which they enjoy. It's future marketing content that I haven't even started dicing up yet. It's good, sharpens me really, really well. Sharpens me really, really well. And then, like as of late, we've had some people kind of peeking in the room and listening to it. And to be honest with you, the only marketing I've done right now is Wednesdays. I'll be like, it's coming. Thursdays, it's 11. I'm building the momentum of the practice. It's only 30 minutes long. Like it's tight. But I want to say, Jay, thank you. I think it's been good for me. I think it's good for the program. It becomes another benefit that I now offer. Not only do I meet with you one-on-one, not only am I going to text you every day, which I do, but now Thursday's 11, there's an extra 30-minute, like nice little chunk for you. And so I want to say thanks, Jay. It just took me a while to get to it.
No worries. Amazing. Last words. You've been married for 29 years.
Mm-hmm.
And you have 3 daughters. What would be the best advice that you would give to busy bee entrepreneurs? I mean, you've had, we have Epilepsy Awareness Day, which, you're epilepsy butt kicker. You have a butt kicked Boston marathons and 28 marathons and an ultra mile marathon. You've come over a lot of adversities. You are married 29 years to your wife, Amy. What is some words of encouragement or inspiration based on these kinds of, circumstances and life situations of, marriage and parenting and health that you would give to the busy bee entrepreneur that's listening right now?
Yeah, thank you. I mean, first of all, work is easy. It's your hand. You can wake up today and like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make 100 cold calls. I'm going to do social media. Honestly, when you do this, it's your lane. It's, I mean, despite how hard it is, it's the easy thing to do. Relationships are hard. That's where the hard part is. So first of all, if your kids are little, do not sacrifice that time. That birth to 5 years, you ain't getting that snuggle time back on the couch. You're going to be in a snuggle deficit when they don't want to snuggle with you anymore. Do not miss that time. Right now, even when my kids at this age, I know this. I'm going to call my day. If I don't have meetings, I'm calling my day around 5:30 or 6. That time with them is theirs. I'm not saying my phone's not near, but if we're doing dinner and a movie, I'm there. If I've got to work more, it's going to have to happen afterwards, or I'm going to be 4:15 to the 6, right? And so, like, for example, even when I'm running, that's podcast time for me. That's my education time. I'm learning. I mean, when I hit the ground at 7, I know that I've already educated myself above, anyone else in the field. If those kids are little, get that time. Do not miss a sporting activity. I got a list of. My kids did drama, marching band. I was a marching band parent. I was on a marching band board. I just design your life. Did I miss a couple? Of course I did. But my kids knew my parents were there. And then, man, you just I have to get time with Amy. And when we don't get that time, but really, guys, take that evening. If you don't have a meeting, don't praise yourself for skipping dinner with your family. It's not. There's nothing to praise about that. I mean, 6 to 9, be there. If you got to work, then go work afterwards. But those times where they know you're there is absolutely essential.
Wow. So there was a masterclass right there in the end. Be fully present, set boundaries. You just made running even more interesting to me because I thought, I love listening to podcasts. I love learning. So otherwise, running to me is painful and boring. But if I can learn and do something at the same time and increase my health, you got my attention. There's something about sleeping and waking up at earlier hours that you can even incorporate in your existing coaching program, Gordon. That's already doing really well. Parenting, sleeping, date nights, with the wives, boundaries. So there's so much that you have to offer. So thank you so much for
I've made tons of mistakes. So if we want to do a podcast on the mistakes to avoid, I'll tell you all the ones I made. But
yeah, and that's what we should do.
It's an honor to be with you. I mean, truly. I mean, the people I mention you to a lot. When I tell about paying for coaching, I was like, I've paid for coaching. The Sales Ninja. I use examples that you've given in other programs, and then my working with you. Anybody who will follow your direction and your guidance, I just don't know anybody who'd be disappointed with working with you.
Thank you so much. So there you have it, guys. If you guys want to learn more about capitalize your best marketing, then go to the website capitalizeyourbest.com. And Gordon has graciously gifted a 15-minute strategy session to deep dive into your business to help you with your marketing and your sales to get your business growth. And clearly he can do a lot more, from focus, from deep work, from sleep to parenting to pastoring, and a lot of great stuff with branding. So feel free to take up capitalizeyourbest.com and leverage that gift to be able to get your free 15-minute strategy session. So thank you so much. And comment podcast if you are a multi-6 or 7-figure business owner that wants to share your journey, your highs and lows, and to be able to teach us the best practices and tips on how we can sell more to give more. Thanks so much, Gordon.
Jay, it's been an honor. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
Massive.